I mean, I'm not entirely sure it was set in Yorkshire because they were all wearing shoes. But
Anyway, though, guys, welcome back to this week's edition of the Time of Podcast. Today, of course, I'm joined with John and Owen as usual, and we will be reviewing the Crimson Aura. But before that, obviously, let's do some introductions. How are you lads doing? Big win for West Ham on day of recording, which is yesterday for you guys. Free bird.
why did we pronounce it as the Crimson Aura?
That's how,
Like it's set in
that's how the bloke
Victorian
does it.
East London.
I don't know. That's just how that was my impression.
I mean, that did sound a little bit like Paternoster Jenny. I'll grant you. It's a
Oh,
Crimson.
I'll take that. I'll take that. At least it wasn't.
Crimson Aura.
That's better. Yeah, you got it there.
Crimson Aura.
But yeah, obviously, yeah. How are we all doing, lads? Are we good?
Not uh, not too shabby, my good friends. It's Thursday. It's nearly the weekend. I listened to the sixth part of Big Finish's Once and Future today, which is Time Lord Immemorial by friend of the show Lisa McMullen, which is very, very good.
I also listened to that today and
Yeah,
was
didn't you?
really impressed. I've
Yeah,
really enjoyed
yeah.
it. Mm.
Yeah, I would, I've enjoyed the whole series all the way through. There's been one a month for the last sort of 6 months. I've enjoyed the whole series all the way through, but I think this is probably my favourite of them. Because obviously, you've got Eccleston, you've got David Warner, and you've got Robert Powell in there as well, which is it's really just some top notch storytelling. So yeah, that took up an hour of my afternoon, which was very enjoyable. What else have I been doing? I rewatched The Crimson Aura the other night. Been watching some of the sort of photographs and footage from the filming they were doing earlier this week, which obviously we won't talk about because we don't want to spoil anybody.
Everyone dies.
I've entered the BBC prize draw to go to see the entirety of Series 4 in a cinema.
Well, at least
I'm assuming there are going to be piss breaks in the middle of that.
you like to think. You'd like to think.
You would hope so, wouldn't you?
You have to have a very strong bladder, and I'm certainly not one of those people that does. So you'd like to think
I mean,
that there would be.
I think they're doing the Runaway Bride as well. So like they're advertising it as like 14 hours solid of Doctor Who from like 9:45 in the morning until 11:45 at night.
Jesus wept.
Yeah, I will find out this time next week if I've been lucky or unlucky enough to go and watch that in a cinema.
Well, John, I'd say
Let's say lucky because most of it's good in it.
yeah. John, I have to say, thank you for making the recording though, because I did see a tweet or an X or whatever they call it these days of you saying that you won't be available for the whole month because Assassin's Creed has come out. So I do appreciate you taking.
Yes. Assassin's Creed Mirage is now out, so that will be taking up much of my weekend. The majority of my sort of gaming of late has been taken up by EA FC 24, which we're now supposed to call not FIFA.
Yep.
Which has been great fun, except that I pulled out an 89 striker and can't actually use it because there's a bug on the card. And a bit of Fortnite where I've been, completing all the Asuka tasks. Not Asuka. Asuka is a Japanese wrestler.
Yes.
It would be great if they had an Asuka skin again, actually. But yeah, I've completed all the Ahsoka tasks, so now I've got an Ahsoka skin and a spear and like a little porg that I carry around on my back and stuff. Why are you smiling when I say Ahsoka?
Just because it can say arse. I don't know. I don't know if it's Ahsoka or Ahsoka. I don't know which it is. I've not seen it, but it's saying arse, isn't it?
Can't say.
No, but you don't say you don't normally.
It's like working with children.
Yeah, well, coming from you. I mean,
I pronounced it this way to distinguish it from Asuka, the Japanese female wrestler.
yes, but no, any little innuendo and you and Owen are set off, and I'm like, ooh, So let me go. I haven't played Fortnite in years, and I already hate EAFC 24. It's incredibly difficult.
Oh, you actually managed to get yourself on there, did you?
Yeah, I've got a team now.
How are you? So are you finding just from a sort of accessibility perspective, I guess, are you finding it like more accessible or less? I know you say
More,
it's difficult, but
more. I would think the way they've done the new menus with the one button and the down, the one list, I
okay.
think that's quite accessible. I think there's a few more camera angles, which obviously that doesn't really affect me, but I know that for certain players it can. I think I've seen there's a few more audio options. I think the gameplay is a bit easier. I just think people have had more time on the game. So every time I go up against somebody, I'm just kind of shit.
Yeah, well,
But
that's the game at some point. But
yeah,
how are you finding? Like the big change for me is the corners and free kicks. Like I couldn't, as you know, I really got on with them in FIFA 22
yeah,
because I used to score rocket free kicks against you.
yeah.
But I couldn't get on with them in 23, and like with 24, it's like they've tweaked some in and they're back to being proper now.
I mean, well, I've scored one, so
There you go.
I'll say that. Yeah, set pieces haven't really been my thing. Obviously, I'm doing a West Ham career mode, so I've got James Ward-Prowse, who's literally the best free kick taker I think in the game now. So that always helps. But yeah, I've always been okay at set pieces. I think the defending's a lot easier this season. I think the goalkeepers aren't as dumb in this game, which is nice because there'll be so many
Yeah,
times on last game where the keepers would do dumb animations and it would ruin the game.
I mean, I pulled out Courtois early doors, so
Yeah. Lucky you.
I've had a good keeper.
Do you want to know who I packed today in my rewards for weekly? No, no, just in general. Do you know who?
Was it that 21-year-old that Freiburg had in goal tonight?
No. So my no. So my weekly reward after playing a bunch. This is sorry for all you non-football fans out there. For my divisions, see, obviously you get rewards every week if you play the divisions. So I got my rewards, and I got a big 25 six players pack. End up getting who do I pack? But one of the best packs in the game, Esri fucking Konza is the best player I get in all the. And Esri Konza is a great player, but I'm expecting something a bit better than that for like a week of playing the game, getting some decent results. And I end up the best player I get is Konza, and they're going, oh no.
I might give you a little bit. I might give you a little bit, sort of more time to play.
Oh no, Konza's not in the starting lineup. I've got Rousseau in the line, mate.
Yeah, I might give you a bit of more time to play.
I've got a great team now. I've got Alicia Russo. I've got Kudus. I've got Smith Rowe as a front line. I've got Georgia Stanway and Ella Toon in my midfield. I'm doing all right.
I've got obviously I've got Courtois in goal. Harry Kane up front, which I'm happy about. I think my midfield's where I win it. Because I've got a midfield of Grealish, Modric, Bernardo Silva, and Beth Mead.
Oh, I can't. Oh, mate. I think I've got Stanway too. I've got some Canadian girl who plays for Chelsea, but I can't remember her second name for the life of me. But yeah, so I've got an all-female midfield. And my defense is Ben Godfrey of all people, which has actually been really good. And I got rid of Mavropanos because he wasn't doing anything for me. I also got Ramsdale in there, so he's not as good as Courtois, but I've got a solid goalkeeper. But I
got Trent at right back as well, which is
that's a good one. That's a good one. But yeah, let's switching gears to Doctor Who for a bit. So just in case if you know football,
Owen's a little bit sort of lost there.
I remember from Galley 1. Sorry to name drop.
Owen's a little bit lost there. He sort of sat there like, oh,
well, Owen,
is Stanley Bowl still playing?
Do you want to know how bad Owen's sort of knowledge of modern players is? He was at the BFI and he didn't know who Erling Haaland was.
I mean, to be fair, he did in our little podcast chat today. He did send a picture of Jared Bowen in his England shirt.
Yeah,
and it was only about 3 hours after I'd sent it to you personally.
Yeah, but no. So at Galley 1, this is the Doctor Who and football crossover. We were in basically it's called a cafe clutch, but for those that haven't been, it's basically you get a 10-15 minute meet and greet with a certain guest star. I was there with Daniel Anthony.
About 45 minutes.
Or was it? Or was it? Oh,
Yeah.
good, time flies when having fun. And basically, everyone was asking Doctor Who questions. I just asked him, what football team do you support? And he was like, I support Chelsea. What does everyone else support? And nobody answered any of it because nobody else liked football. So it was
Everybody else was
quiet.
American. Everybody else was American.
No, there were some British people in there, and they were like, I think you two are the only people that like Doctor Who and football, which obviously clearly isn't true
That's
because
clearly not true.
there's three people in this
like
podcast.
100% of this particular podcast.
Yeah.
We know people in the Doctor Who community that support Spuds. We know people in the Doctor Who community with Liverpool. You know, there's a few. There's a few knocking around. There is. It's not a Venn diagram of two circles.
Yeah.
But it's two circles that only overlap a little bit, I think.
Absolutely. And of course, guys, we did get the announcement inevitably of Doctor Who Unleashed, basically the kind of sequel or redo of Doctor Who Confidential, if you like. Thoughts on this? I think it's overwhelmingly positive. I mean, how can it not be? It's one of those things that I don't really see any negative aspects to it, to be honest.
Yeah, the only thing I picked up on I'm not sure they've clarified yet is they've not clarified whether that's going to be going out internationally. So they didn't mention that it would be available on Disney Plus, which I really hope it is, because if it's available for us here in the UK, then it should be out there for international fans as well.
Yeah, you like to think whether it's on the Disney...
that was just the one thing that I know some sort of fans stateside, etc., had picked up on, that that the announcement or the press release hadn't actually mentioned it going to Disney Plus.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't see why it wouldn't, or even if there's like a YouTube release which is blocked off to UK viewers or something like that, which I know they have done in the past, as long as it's available somewhere, really.
Yeah.
I think it's overwhelmingly positive, though. I don't really know much about the presenter, but I always like that because I think when you have a presenter that you go with expectations. So to have somebody who I don't know is kind of interesting, and it'll be interesting to see, his chemistry with the people on set and see how, he integrates well with the show.
I mean, obviously, Owen was hoping it would be Stephen Mulhern, but
I think I'd give up either that or Alan Deck.
I said that just to see Owen's face, and I'm sure our listeners.
People will know my feelings on Stephen Mulhern. He's just an irritating cunt, as far as I'm concerned. There you go. I was probably the first to use the C word on this episode.
Owen,
and there you go. Anybody that got onto the hour before the recording of this show and put money on Owen Luckhurst being the first person to say cunt, about 50-1, I think.
Owen, you're lucky we're past the 5-minute mark, because any time before that it gets region locked. So very well done that we got past the 5-minute mark. We're YouTubers.
It used to be 30 seconds, didn't it?
Yeah, they've changed it now. They've all changed it. They're trying to get rid of the word cunt, but we will not let them.
But yeah, it's nice that it's nice that BBC Three is a station that's back on our proper TVs.
You're so old. You just called it a station. You're so old.
That we can actually watch. Doctor Who Unleashed on. So.
Do you have to move the aerial on the top of the telly in order to get BBC Three, Owen?
I know someone who tried that and who had a puppet bird, and didn't they fall off the roof?
Oh God!
No. Back in the very old days, your tellies used to actually have a little aerial that would sit on top of the telly.
Yeah, I remember that.
Rather than down on the roof. That's what I was referring to, mate.
Oh yeah.
I know. I'm old.
One of those you used to coat hanger, apparently.
Yeah. You did.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right, lads. Are we ready for John versus Owen?
Oh, are we going to do that before we do our reviews on the show then?
Yeah. This is the second segment, and we get to reviews.
Well, before we start, I would like to make a dedication. I'd like to dedicate this episode to someone who was special in my life, which is my stepdad, Rob. He sadly passed on Tuesday, and and he was a big Doctor Who fan. And I think if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be the big Doctor Who fan that I am today. And him watching a VHS copy of Destiny of the Daleks back in 1999, that was my first exposure to Doctor Who. And we always used to watch Doctor Who together and chat about it. And so I'll miss him greatly. And so this goes out to him.
Well said, mate. And I can assure you that our thoughts are with you and his friends and family. Yeah. And that was very well said. Absolutely.
So maybe we've got to be nice to Owen now.
For like 5 minutes, and then it'll wear off, and then we can kind of go back. Right, lads. So obviously, if you don't remember last week, John got a 1-0 lead. We have changed the punishment because I thought it was too nice. I listened back to it. I thought it was a bit dumb. So we've changed it.
I mean, I'd go with forfeit more than punishment.
Okay. Yeah.
I think sure. Punishment's something that's got connotations, you know.
All right, forfeit. We'll go with the forfeit.
Yeah.
The forfeit, if you lose, is the person can change either your Twitter handle or the Twitter AVI. I'm not calling it X because that's a stupid name. So obviously John has a 1-0 lead and it could become 2. Can you simply answer me this question, lads? What year is this episode set?
I guessed first last week, so I'm going to let Owen guess first this time because he's got the distinct advantage of probably having been alive at the time.
I'll give it. It comes on the screen twice, and they say it like 3 times.
Right at the start.
Yeah.
I actually can't remember. Even though I only watched this yesterday.
Do you want to give it a punt?
But I will. Yeah, just take a random guess and say 1853.
John?
The only thing I've got in my head is 1839.
No, it's 1893. But that's why I was so for Owen, because he obviously got the 18 and the 3. If you just had one of the digits the other way around, it would have been the point. Obviously, again, the series.
I literally went 39 rather than 93.
Yeah, so both numbers
quite close there.
Numbers are on the right stage, but no points given this week. It remains a 1-0 lead to John. Obviously, you have to get the exact correct answer in this series, so it makes it a bit more difficult. And lads, we'll get into the episode. So this was written by Mark Gatiss and directed by Saul Metzstein. It was released on the 4th of May, 2013. God, this episode is 10 years old. Do you remember what you're doing on the 4th of May, 2013, lads?
Watching Doctor Who.
Yes.
Yeah, I think I was watching this.
Yeah, me too.
I would have gone to work that day, and then finished there, had dinner, gone to my second job that I had at the time, working when I used to have a second job as a receptionist. Wasn't that exciting? So yeah, every Saturday night when Doctor Who was on, I'd sit there, laptop on, watching the new episode of Doctor Who as it went out. So yeah.
I was watching this with my Minecraft group back in the day. 12-year-old king, 11-year-old kingdom at the time. This would have been just before my birthday. So
it would have been about a week before my birthday. So I was probably planning getting pissed.
It was a full month before mine. I wasn't planning.
It was a few days after my. It was a few days after my now 10-year-old niece was born.
What day did it air?
Well, the 4th of May, Star Wars Day in 2013.
Oh, okay. Also, my stepdad's birthday as well.
Oh,
yeah. So whenever on his birthday, I always used to message him and say, "Happy Star Wars Day." Oh, happy birthday.
Yeah, absolutely. Gotta love Star Wars Day. There was always a big thing in my school about Star Wars Day. They'd always watch every year they'd watch a new film. But obviously, when you're in secondary school, you're there for 5 years. And I think obviously there was 6 at the time. So the one I didn't see was Attack of the Clones, which is a good thing because it's awful. But anyway, the reason we did the game before this is because the synopsis for this week is in 1893, the 11th Doctor's friends, the Paternoster gang, find an optogram of the Doctor and a victim in a mysterious crimson horror. They head for Yorkshire, where Jenny infiltrates This is Winfred Gillyflower's community of Sweetville to find out what has happened to the Doctor. Oh, very mysterious. This is one of those weird episodes. I actually don't really know the consensus. It's very mixed consensus, this one, as you'll find out by our listener reviews later on. For me, I have a weird memory of this every time I rewatch it because I think I don't like it and I think I do, and I'm not sure. And then when I watch it, lads, I think this one's all right. I think it's a nice little adventure on a Saturday evening. I think that's how I describe it. I think it's pretty good. I think it's really interesting how it's basically Jenny's episode more than the Doctor's, or at least the first half. Really, is Jenny is the main character until the Doctor comes back into the fold. But you got a really good guest cast here. The direction is superb. I love how Saul uses the camera in this era of the show. And actually, I think it's really fun. I think it's quite a funny episode. But what are your lads' thoughts?
I really like it. I think it was probably, I don't know, when was the last sort of like periodic episode before this one? I think probably. Oh yeah, Snowman. Oh okay,
yeah.
so weren't,
Or
weren't
if you count Cold War, but ish.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but I mean that's. Would that be period? I mean, when we get to the point where something set in 1983 is a period piece, I think we all start to feel a bit old.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think even this is sort of, this would be before Victorian times, wouldn't it? It was 1893.
It is Victorian times. I mean, what you count Hyde? Wasn't Hyde supposed to be set in like the 1970s?
Yeah. There's a lot of historicals in this kind of 7B.
So if you count in Cold War, you've got to count Hyde, I think, but I wouldn't count either of them. I would say the last one before this was the Snowman.
I like the sort of like the fashion in this one, and so the Doctor decides to switch it up a little bit, but obviously keeping his usual sort of attire with the bow tie, but going for the bowler hat. We all know how much the 11th Doctor likes his hats. With Clara, she's gone with this little sort of Victorian piece with the headdress and that, and yeah, they fit in really well.
Yeah, overall, I think so. I think this episode's quite nicely paced. I think it goes by at a blip. I think it's kind of an interesting story. I think they do quite well with the design. I really like the red effect of the Crimson Horror itself. I know it's a do Crimson, but I can't be asked saying Crimson over and over again. So I think that looks really nice. I think the way they all become zombies is really good. Some really good character work in here as well with Ada and Gillyflower, and there's some really good side characters as you always do with whenever Dame Dunnerig is in anything. She's fantastic.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I think there's a lot to enjoy here. What do you think, John?
I quite enjoy this one. I think it's a very nice little story. I think it's very well told. I think it's probably actually Gattis's best episode. I'm quite a fan of it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't disagree with you at all on that one.
I think the Victorian setting is used quite well. I kind of, when I was rewatching it the other night, I liked some of the kind of religious undertones to it. There was this kind of piousness to a lot of people, and they were really overlaying religion, which happened quite a lot, obviously, in Victorian small communities, etc. So, on top of everything, there's this darker sort of undertone there, which I really, really came across quite well. I think Smith's great in it. I think the Paternoster gang are great in it. Obviously Strax is always really watchable. Just great fun. And Thomas is obviously hilarious.
Great little in joke.
I've always had a real soft spot for Victorian Clara, and so to get a version of Victorian Clara back was great. For me, Victorian Clara is the missed opportunity of a companion. It would have been great to have had, Victoria Clark as a companion. I think it would be remiss of me not to talk about one of the issues that I do have with it, which is one of the issues that I have with media in general, which is when you get a disabled role that is being played by an abled actor or actress. I can kind of see what they were going for here. Obviously, they wanted to get a mother and daughter playing a mother and daughter. You're not going to be able to do that. You know, you're not going to be able to find a blind actress daughter with an actress mother. You know, so I could kind of see what they were going for. Rachel Sterling's blind acting isn't too bad, but there's a couple of moments in this which are just fucking cringe. I mean, the bit where she's sort of feeling for the door and feeling for the doorknob, and it's like, no, you know what height you are, you know what height a door is, you know where a fucking doorknob's going to be. And then later in the episode, we get to the bloody face feeling. And it's like, who's written, and you know, have you ever seen a blind person feel someone's face?
No.
No. It's one of those tropes that the sighted world just kind of throws out there. And yeah, it's so although, you know, Rachel Sterling plays it very well, yeah, there are a couple of moments that are really teeth-gratingly bad to watch as a visually impaired person. You know, it's by no means the worst blind acting I've ever seen, but that there's certainly some questionable characterization around Ada, I think. But you know, that's only a part of it, and I can see what they're going for. And that aside, I think Rachel Sterling's really good. Obviously, Diana Rigg's fantastic because she's Diana Rigg. They bounce off of each other very well. You know, you get a very good idea of the relationship between the two, and then you get the thing at the end where Ada finally actually stands up to her mother. You know, which is fantastic to see. You know, so yeah, I think there's a lot to love in it, and you know, Series 7B isn't massively well regarded for sometimes very good reason. I do think that this is one of the best episodes in 7B.
I love 7B. How very dare you? No, I understand. I get it.
Yeah, but if you were to draw the quality of episodes on a graph, you know, this comes after Journey to the Center of the TARDIS and before Nightmare in Silver.
Yeah, it's not.
And
It's not so much.
there's never. I don't think, and you know, feel free to correct me, listeners, but I don't think in all of Who there's been a bigger example of a rose between two thorns.
Yeah, true. And like the very end of this episode ends with Artie and Farty, whatever
I was
their names
hoping
are.
not to get to mention that, but
yeah, well, it's in my notes actually. Speaking of those two, so I give them a score, which I've written in the notes. I thought the episode ended, and afterwards I put, "Oh, Andrew and Artie 0 out of 10." I forgot they were in it. One thing I also put as well, this is just another funny thing because that's what I do in my notes. How did they not see Jenny go through that door? I know that lady caused a distraction, but the door's still open when they walk over, and they can see her go through it. Like, it's so bad. Like, everyone just like it's CPUs in computer games. Like you know, like you should be able to see that. They can't do it. It's crazy. As well, I've got Matt has an awful Yorkshire accent, which I get is kind of the point of the scene, but still.
yeah, I mean that's a bit of a trope, isn't it? For you know, the New Who particularly loves to do some hilariously awfully bad regional accents from the Doctor and companion.
Yeah, I also put yay for sepia tone because there's this weird flashback where it's half sepia tone, but not really sepia tone. It looks really weird. Don't really know why I went for that visual cue there because it didn't really work. It's really, I know obviously it's like an old mystery and it's like, oh, there's all the clues that we have as to what's really going on in Sweetville. But it's a really weird like filter they've put on the footage. It doesn't really look great.
I like this all like the nod to Tegan when the Doctor says, "Oh, I tried to get
Braveheart
a Gobby
Clara.
Australia and back to Heathrow Airport." Oh, was it? Oh, I have no idea. And then someone screams, and then he turns to Clara and says, "Braveheart Clara."
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're always trying to throw like little nods into the classic series somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a really good one. I also put the Doctor likes being slapped in brackets kinky. He literally gets slapped and goes, "Oh, that felt good." Then tune it. Then a minute earlier, there's a boner joke, which is well done, Mark. Calm down. That was weird.
This was a bit of a strange era for a family show. Let's face it.
Yeah. I also put Matt looks like me on holiday when he was all red. That's the level of my notes I have when reviewing this stuff.
I mean, having seen you on holiday, yeah, maybe.
Yeah. I put Clara became a WWE wrestler for a second there with the chair. That was another thing. That's a legitimately quite funny line. I like that. I've got a secretary. Yeah, I got a chair. I thought actually that's well done and well delivered.
Very
I
good.
also put as well because I know this is unpopular. I really like Eleven and Clara's chemistry. I think they work. I think the actors bounce off each other really well. I know some people disagree, but I'm a fan. I can't.
I do, but I think that 12 and Clara's chemistry knocks it out of the park.
I think these two is better.
Nah.
I know. I think it's because they're my first team, so obviously I get the nostalgic, the feels. But I also just really enjoy watching. I enjoy watching this group of episodes though, so we are a bit, biased towards them, as it were. I also put as well. I like the fact that Jenny takes a lead role. I know we spoke about it. Supposed to speak about the Paternoster gang in general. I think they're really well used here until about the last 15 minutes where they sort of just disappear because the Doctor and Clara are back. They don't really do anything, which is kind of really frustrating. It's a really weird way it's written because they're written like they're the protagonists of the story, and then they kind of get sidelined in the final third and do basically nothing. Like considering Jenny's your main character, she basically disappears in the final act.
I think they just sort of like behind the scenes just sort of like clear up the mess that's all left behind. So like all the deadly toxins and whatnot. So they'll obviously dispose of that. And
Yeah, but I don't think that's well written though, because
no,
Jenny is your driving force in this story, and
yeah,
then she has nothing to do with the conclusion. I think Ada getting revenge on Mr. Sweet is a nice moment. I think that's well earned, and
oh yeah.
she stabs the shit out of that thing. But like Jenny doesn't do anything in the final act that you see on camera. Like you say, it's implied that they've done all the background work. Considering she is literally probably the character with the most screen time.
I mean, you do see that they've taken the poison out of the rocket.
Yeah, but I don't know. I just think that they give her the B job. But actually, it's like
I mean, it's essentially, they've saved the day.
Mm.
yeah. I don't know, I just think within the episodes, I think she deserved more, considering she's your main character for most of it.
I
And she
mean,
doesn't.
Strax popped over the top of the chimney and shot at Mrs. Gillyflower and made her plunge to her death.
That's a weird character option. Like, why would you choose? What did you want to protagonist? I know it's not on Tyrant, like, why would you do that? It's really bizarre. It sort of feels like it's the weirdest character to do that as well. Like Strax
He's just hungry for
with her.
death. He just does it for the fun of it.
He hasn't interacted with her at all, and he just shoots her. It's funny. It's funny. Don't get me wrong.
I'm sorry, that's the whole point.
Yeah, it's funny with that. But yeah, I mean, what else have I got in my notes here? Yeah, Uh,
I think
no,
with
but
Vastra, I think she's sort of like used very little out of the
this
three.
this
Where
is
she was,
this is Vastra's weakest episode. I think it's
yeah,
in
she
terms of
she does
her
a little bit
involvement.
of investigating, and then she reveals herself to like the human investigating officer, makes him
That that
pass out
joke
and
isn't
whatever.
that joke isn't funny. It wasn't funny the first time. It's not funny the third time. I think the comedy's really good in this. I think Mark Gatiss is actually
Mm.
quite a very good comedic writer. I think that's the only joke that I didn't. I just kind of went, oh God. Also, I like Clara's theme. I think it's one of those stronger companion themes. I'm a
It's
big fan. I also love the line, Doctor, you didn't explain what happened with Clara. And he just goes up to her and goes, no, and then walks away. That line delivery is brilliant because it's basically
Yeah.
Moffat going, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. We'll figure it out. But yeah, apart from that, I think it's quite a fun story, kind of inconsequential. Doesn't really add much to your overall story, which I think is nice for this because it didn't mean we had to do a lot of memory going into it. We could just sort of enjoy it as its own thing. Unfortunately, it does set up Nightmare and Silver, which thank God we're not reviewing that at the minute because that would be a much more negative review. Like you said last week, John, it's very difficult to do reviews of episodes that are just sort of all right because you kind of sit there on the fence. It's not. This isn't brilliant. This isn't bad.
mm,
Everything's just sort of quite good and all right. And it's one of
yeah,
those,
there's not a huge amount to talk about.
Mm.
It's just yeah, it does a job.
it does a job. I think, yeah, I think it's Jenny's strongest episode, actually. I think they didn't really capitalize on this in any way. They might have done the big finish. I don't know. I don't listen to it. But obviously, they only appear two more times, right? This name of the Doctor and Deep Breath, and that's it.
Yeah.
Which is really strange because Moffat kind of set them up as like he's kind of like gang for the era. You know, like you had like the Sarah Jane guys for the Russell era or Torchwood. They kind of Moffat kind of set these guys up and then never used them again for the last 2 years of his run, which is a strange thing. Yeah, I think it's our strongest episode. I think the climax is good. I don't really understand Mrs. Gillyflower's sort of motive. I think that's probably she's Diana Rigg's fantastic in performance, but they do a really weak job of explaining why she even looked after Mr. Sweet in the first place. Like she's like, oh, I found him underneath a bridge. But it's like, why the fuck would you pick that thing up? Like, no offense. But like
I mean, anyone in their same mind would look at that and think, "Oh, that's horrible. Kill it, whatever."
I get the point is that it's not meant to be that like that big of an episode. You can sometimes just have villains for villain's sake, and she is that. But I'm saying she doesn't go down as one of the stronger villains of the era, that's for sure. Because
I
her
mean,
motiv-
not every villain has to have a motivation, I guess.
no, exactly. It's just for fun, and she's villainous enough, and it's Diana Rigg, so you get a good performance. Like, you
Oh
know what I
yeah.
mean?
Some people are just cunts.
And that's her. You know,
There
but
was a moment that I liked where obviously she's setting up for the rocket to go off, and the controls are isomorphic or something like that, so the Doctor can't do anything. So with that,
no,
Clara just solves the problem by picking up a chair and just lobbing it and stopping it like that, rather than the Doctor using the sonic screwdriver. And I think there's a bit of a gag there, saying, well, your sonic screwdriver can't do everything. You can't rely on it all the time.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I wish somebody had made it 5 minutes ago.
Yeah.
hi, I did.
Yeah.
Hi. But yeah, no, I think it's time for scores on the doors, everyone. Do you know what? I got 2 seconds. I do this every time. I'm going to get up our old scores.
Oh God.
It's just a fun thing to do. I have to go right down the middle there because I don't know how far down it's going to be. Right, Matt Smith is pink. Oh, I found it already. That's great. Okay. Okay, right. So for interest of everyone else, actually, don't we'll go first, and we'll see how everyone else matches up. I mean, I'm going to ask for your score first.
For me, I'd say 9 out of 10.
Oh wow, strong. Coming with that strong
I
score.
mean,
I think
I've always preferred this episode out of Series 7B.
it's probably my fourth favorite. I think. But I like a lot of them because it's my first series. So there's only two I won't watch, which is Journey and Nightmare and Silver. I think the rest of them are like decent to like really good. So a 9 out of 10. Jono, what about yourself?
That's a 7.
I agree with you. I'm going 7. I'm going 7. But you did give it a 7 last time. I gave it a 6, and Owen gave it an 8. So it has gone up in estimations by a couple of points
Yeah,
on the
because you
rewatch.
watched it.
Yeah, exactly. But now we have our reviewers' reviews, and honestly, guys, you guys have smashed it this
That's
week.
12, haven't we? I think.
Got 12. Yeah, I've got both tweets up so we can alternate.
I screenshotted them.
Cool. So I'll let you read one first, John, and then I'll just go for a random one.
Okay, well, we'll start with our. Okay, well, let's start with our American friend, Ivy Hanover, protagonist Ivy, who said, "I actually quite like it, save for a couple of scenes. Little bit of cute 11 Clara, little bit of horror, little bit of camp."
You know what? I don't disagree with that at all. I think that's nail on head stuff right there. To be honest, I think literally that's how I would describe it. Bit camp, bit fun. Yeah.
We've got 11 more to get on with, so come on, crack on.
Oh, you
Cool.
want to crack on? All right. Who should
A
I?
short and sweet one here from
Oh, Owen's reading that as well. Excellent.
Oh, go on. There we go.
I mean, might as well join in on this.
Why not? Yeah, this is great fun.
So at Kian the Quark, Kian is going to be meeting Sir Derek Jacobi. Well, it's nice for some, Kian. And Kian says Crimson Horror is certainly one of those stories of Series 7.
Yes,
Yes,
I
it is,
think.
Kian.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I'm not sure if that's a positive or a negative review. I think that's just stating a fact.
I think it's very much it's one of those middle reviews, isn't it?
I think it's just stating a fact. I think he's maybe taking the approach of
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Thanks for
will
that, Kian.
go. That's all right. I'll go for one of our mates on this one. I'll go for Mr. Gallifrey for 97, Reese. Before Series 7B, it was my least anticipated. It turns out to be great. Great to see the Paternoster gang in full comic force. I see Dinah Rigg and daughter play mother and daughter on the big screen of Fun Romp. Don't know why I said big screen. It's not the big screen. But
I mean,
yeah.
I don't know how big is his telly. Have you been around his house?
His telly's a solid size, to be fair. He's got a decent.
So he could actually, obviously all those subscribers that Gallifrey Forever 97's got. He's probably got a big fuck off telly to watch Warriors of the Deep.
That is true. That is true. He does love Warriors of the Deep as well. He does love that one. Right. Are you next? Do you want to go next, John?
We're back to me. Okay.
It's back to you, mate.
Another friend of the show, Richard, Ricky Orr. Bit of camp, different, fun for who. Love the various different filming styles used. The nods to the past, Diana Rigg and Rachel Sterling absolutely give their all. Also, the Paternoster gang. Love those three and need them back on screen at some point.
It's never not positive with Richard, and that's why we love him.
Unashamed positivity from Richard there.
That's why we love Richard, because he's always positive. Never seen him be negative before. So that's why we love Richard. All right, Owen, it's back to you, mate, in this weird little triangle.
We've got Oshan Thomas. Am I pronouncing his first name?
You got it right. Yeah, it's
Oshan.
Yeah.
I think you've met him.
You've met him.
I know. So Oshan says,
colour scene for a second there.
So he says, I need to rewatch, but what a strange episode. It does some questionable things and isn't the worst story of Smith's era, but is by far not one of his best. Smith in this feels a little bit overboard. Was nice seeing Victorian gang back.
Yeah. Yeah, I think
he does follow that up with a follow-up, doesn't he?
Oh, also, even though the next episode isn't great, it sets up an interesting story with the kids finding out about Clara.
I always forget that's tagged on at the end of this. I always forget that's tagged on at the end, and then it is. All right, who should I go with next? I will go with Andrew Cruno. I'm going to go with that. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. Brilliant. Almost Douglas Adamsy. that idea of people being in Bell bars and that fake factory where it's just sound effects. Diana Rigg is spot on seeing the show, but not dominating. And Gatiss and co get that really Victorian horror feel. This is one of my faves. And I think there might be a follow-up. I know Strax isn't everyone's cup of tea, but I find him hilarious. This is one of those daft Thomas, but isn't, which is very stupid, and it makes me laugh anyway. Fair enough, mate. Do you know what? We're all about that. We're all about that. You know, if it can make you laugh, you know, that's what it's all about.
Bit of fun. Similar vein. Kevin Scribble script. Can't help myself. I absolutely adore it. Diana Rigg and Rachel Sterling give incredible guest performances, and it's gay and camp. There's very valid criticisms, but it hits my aesthetics and sensitivities all too well. Sensibilities all too well.
There you go. Owen, have you gone on to the other tweet to find the other reviews, or do you?
I've got them screenshotted here if you need me.
I've got them all. I'm seeing if anyone's got any.
So we've got at Ezra Who.
Yeah, that's not been read up. No, you're all good.
So yeah, at Ezra Who, Darren. It's a fun story. It has a wonderful, cheesy, classic Hammer horror esque feel to it, but done just right. Diana Rigg is wonderful in it. The right level of classic old school Who villain tinged to the acting, plus there's Strax. What's not to love?
Lots of Strax love in these reviews.
That's a really good point to make, actually, around the Hammer horror vibes to it.
Indeed,
that is something that is very accurate.
Yeah, I never thought of it as Hammer horror
vibe to it. It's really clever.
Yeah. This next one is from Martin at Tom Martin. Love it. One of my favorites of the 11th Doctor era. There you go. There's lots of love for this in the replies.
Under resoundingly love. Okay. KB Digital Artwork at KB_artwork. It's a camp bit of fun that I seriously overhated. So that's somebody that didn't like it and now does.
Amazing. I'm trying to think, is that everyone or am I?
There might be a couple more. I'm just scanning through. There's a couple. Well, there's one who responded literally with women and then a letter C.
Don't know if they enjoyed it, didn't enjoy it.
I don't know if they liked it.
Maybe just enjoyed it for the women.
I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt and say they liked it because you know,
women.
It's women who, you know, and like that C could be a typo for an X.
I found one more, by the way.
It could be they like women, and the last one's from Andrew Lawston. If you want to read that.
So Andrew Lawston, who said, I thought it was an unexpected delight, camp fun. And he put one of the quotes, which is horse, you have failed in your mission. Diana Rigg and Rachel Sterling, a Tegan joke, season 7 a bit too dour for me in places, and it was like Gatiss took us back to the fun of the Tennant years for a week only. There you go.
I mean, I have to step in there and say series 7. Sorry, I'm not normally that anal about
one of those, John. One of those.
I'm not normally that anal about these things, but season 7 is, in my view, the gold standard and the epoch in all of Doctor Who.
It's got two bangers.
This would look rather out of place if it was in season 7.
It's got 2 bangers. One I don't like and one I've not seen. So there you go. So
wrong.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. Yeah. Anyway, are we ready to find out what we are going to be reviewing in 2 weeks' time? By the way, as well, thank you for the amount of listener reviews. That is by far the most we've ever had. We broke the record of 4 the other week, and this week we had at least 10.
Yeah. I mean, giving people 3 days to do it rather than 4 hours seems to have
paid off.
It seems to have, yeah. I mean, who'd have thunk it? Giving people more time would mean more people respond.
See, my brain doesn't work like that, John. Right, let's get on to the randomizer.
You should be able to share screen as well.
I can, mate. Yeah. So this is not our episode, by the way. It always pops up with one. So yeah, every Doctor from the classic series is in play here, even the movie. So it could literally be anything.
So we're not going to.
We've done that. So
we're not going to cancel out Patty T because we did Patty T last time.
Oh yeah, good point. Thank you very much, John. You reminded me. It's not time for it. We've already done it. We're not doing it again.
Fuck Peter Grimwade, according to
the Mark of the Rani. Oh no.
Could be worse.
Yeah, but I've heard that's not a good one.
I mean, we've gone from I mean, it's a nice comparison actually, because it's another historical.
Mm.
It's another historical with a female antagonist.
Oh, there you go, guys, and it's on the box set. We
Yeah,
own it.
and it's
Are
one
you getting
one that you
confused with
own.
Simon the Rani?
No,
No,
he's not seen that.
Okay.
no, I've not seen either of them. I've just heard that both of them are not great.
No,
I like both of them.
Mark of the Rani is good fun. Time in the Rani is it exists.
I
There we
never
go.
appreciated Mark of the Rani until rewatching it when the season 22 box set come out. So yeah, my opinion on it had changed, but we'll find out about that on the next episode.
Yeah, indeed, literally. And it's that time of the show again, guys, where I say thank you very much for joining us. Obviously, I was joined wonderfully by John. How is Blue Sky? Is that what it's called? Is it Blue Sky? Yeah, how is it? Anything you want to tell us about the eliteness of Blue Sky?
It's very good. It's very elite. I have had to block a creepy troll on there, but they were a creepy troll on Twitter as well. So. But yeah, it's very good, and obviously the more codes that we're getting, the more people we're getting on there, and the more elite we're making it. So I was able to get friend Elijah on there the other day.
There we go. Owen, it's that time. Hopefully you've revised, because I always ask you this question and you always get surprised by it. One thing from the shop that you'd like to recommend this week is
We've got the David Whitaker book, which is up for pre-order. It's selling fast. We've got a signing coming up on the 11th of November with the wonderful Simon Guria. If you've never met him in person, then come along and meet him, because yeah, you'll find out how lovely he is.
Would do, but I'm in Bristol.
Yeah, I met him in Galley. Well, at Galley, not in Galley. I wasn't in Gallifrey. Why was it Galley one? He did a lovely signature for me, which I can't mention on the show. But yeah, he's a good lad. He's a good lad. Good lad. That's all I'll say. And guys, I would say join us next week, but I don't know if there'll be a show next week, but there certainly will be the week after. I don't know if we're going to do 3 weeks on, 1 week off, that sort of thing. Just because at the minute there's no new Doctor Who, and you guys basically only want Doctor Who podcasts. But there will be weekly reviews of Loki coming out when that series drops, technically today. So there'll be another video on the channel for you later on this afternoon. So if there is no podcast next week,
you're not supposed to be advertising or plugging that, because it's meant to be a low-key video.
I like that. I thought you would. I thought for a second there was going to be like, I didn't know if the strikes are over, but they are, aren't they? So I don't work for them anyway, so I wouldn't get in trouble. But I did like that joke.
We met Loki in.
We did. We were talking about horniness.
Yeah, we God, yeah. We talked about. Yeah, we talked about sexual things with a Loki, like somebody employed to play Loki, and now let's never mention that again.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you guys all so much for listening. Make sure to check out this podcast down below. Check us all out on social medias. You all know them by now, but I want to very quickly. John Boy Cook, Dr. Disco 63.
Underscore.
Is it underscore?
It's John Boy _ Cook.
Fuck. I wanted to
See, at
speed
least
run it.
Jodie Whittaker knew.
Yeah, she knew.
Jodie Whittaker, 1,726 people on Twitter now,
Yeah.
and they
Well
can't
done.
be wrong.
Exactly.
There's an Elvis album that sounds just like that.
But
What is it?
Elvis wasn't aware of my Twitter. I mean, for a start, Twitter wasn't a thing. For a second,
No,
like
I think it was something like...
I was 3 months old when he browned it.
No, but there was that Elvis album. I think it was like so many thousands of Elvis fans can't be wrong, or something like that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
How have we got here then?
Well, thank you very much, everybody. Follow John Cook on Twitter.
Right, lads. Thank you guys all very much for joining us. We'll see you in a couple of weeks. Take care. Bye-bye.
Good night. God bless. Don't have nightmares. Do sleep well. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you for listening to the Timeless Podcast. Alex Kingdom has left the building.